Welcome back to another episode of the Sale and Scale Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Dimitriy, and my co-host.
Hey everybody, Jaron, Rabman.
And today we're super excited to have Ethan King, who is an AI expert, author, and entrepreneur. Ethan's got quite the what would you call that? Like the resume, honestly, from being on TEDx talks, having multiple businesses. You've done quite a bit, but the topic for today that we're really going to be talking about is AI and how is transforming business, and more specifically, let's talking about some use cases and ways that marketing agencies and even just small businesses in general can start using these tools to start, buying back some time for themselves and really, it's taking their business to the next level. So first off, Ethan, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you coming on. Yeah, of course. And usually we like to start with a little bit more about your background. So tell us kind of like, what's your superhero origin story?
Origin story. Well, the funny thing is, here I am teaching AI and speaking and writing books about AI, but I am the farthest thing from a computer programmer. I was an art major in college. And when I always told my parents, it's like when they said, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I said, "I want to be an artist." And they said, "Ethan, artists don't make any money until after they're dead, right?" So
I don't think they're the ones that make the money. I think it's maybe their families. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. So I was a stubborn kid, so I majored in art anyway, and started a business with my girlfriend. It started as a school project called Stuff for Greeks, where we were doing Greek fraternity and sorority apparel. So the project was to create this fictitious company and do all of the branding and advertising and website around it. And then that ended up becoming a real business. We started getting like actual real orders from people that we didn't know. And that's when we were like, oh, we actually have a business here. So then we got into full-on embroidery for the fraternities and sororities across the country. Stuff for Greeks is still going strong. And then in 2009, we outgrew our home basement. We bought an office building. And then in that office building, we decided to open a retail store to the general public. So we called that Zeus's Closet. And Zeus's Closet is still going strong now in its, 16th year. And
wow.
We've expanded into the film and TV wardrobe departments, school uniforms, of course, business apparel where you can get your logo gear. It's extremely important for branding purposes. The entertainment industry, we had jackets worn on the Grammys last year, which was really cool. And some gentlemen from one of the original rap groups performed on stage in custom jackets that we made for them. So it's been a wild journey. But then you ask, what does this have to do with AI, right? So being an entrepreneur for 22 years, you're going to hit some challenges and some bumps, and you're going to hit the wall a few times. I don't know any entrepreneur that has not experienced some type of obstacle that they had to overcome. And it was around 2011, we were going through a really, really rough patch in our business. We were fighting this nasty legal battle, lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I had to figure out how to do more with less, because we either had to let go of people, or when people left, we just didn't have the money to replace them. So I had to figure out either give up and close the business and go back and work somewhere, or fight to keep the business alive. So I chose to fight. And in order to fight, I learned marketing automation, because I knew that if we didn't do marketing, that the business would surely die, as you guys know. Yep. Marketing keeps the lights on, right? Mm-hmm. So I was like, I got to figure out how to scale up our marketing without needing humans. So that's when I went to like this 3-day workshop and learned all about how to automate the emails. And I was like, oh, this is cool. I didn't know I could do this. So I implemented that, and then I learned how to automate our social media so that we could pull that off with one person. And I just kind of went into this automation first mindset for as much as we could automate in our business as possible, because we had to do it. And then when the AI tools came out, it was like, oh, this is great. Now I can have AI help with writing on top of the automation. And so we've just continued to scale that way. And long story short, our business actually, our revenue doubled from where we were before, back when we were going through that rough patch. And our team, our staff, we did it with half the staff. So that's what I teach entrepreneurs now, because that's what we need, especially in today's,
Got to be leaner and got to be greener.
You got to be lean. So I teach them the exact tools and the frameworks of how to do it. Because if I can do it as an art major, then anybody can do it.
Yeah, and in the background there, we see your book, ChatGPT. Wait, it says what? What's the name of the title?
ChatGPT to double your business in 90 days.
Yeah, to double your business in 90 days. That's a pretty big claim.
It is. And I walk through 90 different steps in this book. And the goal is, it's not a book that you just sit down and read. It's not a novel. You're not going to take it to the beach and just leisurely read through it. It is a workbook. So it's designed to first take you through how to properly set up your ChatGPT, because most people don't have it configured correctly. And then we go through day one, do this, stop and actually do this. And then really explore it, implement it in your business. Day two, read it, stop, and then actually implement this in your business. If you go through all 90 of these steps in 90 days, I guarantee your business will not look the same as it did before. And your mind will be blown at the results.
Now, once you start jumping into the AI and automation, it's a pretty deep rabbit hole. So, I believe you. I mean, there's a lot of tools that, have revolutionized the way that we even do our own business at this stage. And in marketing, there's huge impacts on the way that agencies now run due to AI and the tools that have been presented to us. Now, on your side, so what areas do you think AI has impacted the most in, kind of like, not, I wouldn't say necessarily business automation, but in making businesses a lot more efficient and lean and green?
Well, I think that marketing is the first area. So let me back that up, because marketing is very broad. That generating your words, your copy, whether that's copy for a website, a landing page, or for social media captions, or video scripts, or even responding to emails. That's my first go-to with AI, with LLMs. And I've programmed them to speak in my voice. So I've trained them on how I naturally speak and on my background. So that way, if I get an email come in that normally, let's say I would spend 10 minutes just thinking about crafting this email, I can just copy the email, pop it in Claude, pop it in ChatGPT, and have it give me at least the first draft. And I actually have those dialed in so well that 9 times out of 10, I could copy and paste it, because it already sounds like something I would say anyway. So it's a huge time saver. And I see that as being the main entry point in generating whatever writing you need. I think is the easiest entry point for someone who's just starting out with using AI.
Yeah, I think it's a good starting point. Go ahead, Jaron.
Yeah, I was going to, so, you say that, and then, a lot of people, they have their hesitant. They're like, okay, what are the steps to, how do I do this? You say, I've programmed it, I've done it. People are thinking code and this and that, and you say, no, you don't need to know any code. So I think what a lot of people don't realize is that the entry barrier to ChatGPT is you don't need to be a coder, as you were saying. You don't need to be a technology person. There are a few little knowledge cookies or base things you need to know or understand how the program works. Once you know that, then you can start running. But maybe you can give us some examples of just some basic stuff that you recommend people do that, they go, oh, actually, I can do that.
Oh, yeah. Okay. First things first. Open up a new chat. If you haven't done this already, fire up a new chat and make sure you have the paid version of ChatGPT. And then you're going to say, hey, I want you to analyze my writing and speaking style so that you can imitate my brand voice. I'm going to give you examples of my writing and speaking, and I want you to imitate my brand voice. Do you understand? Then you press enter, and ChatGPT will respond saying something to the effect of, yes, I understand. Go ahead and feed me the samples. And then you go out and copy things that you have authentically written. Maybe you've written blogs, articles, maybe emails, social media posts. It doesn't really matter what the content is. It's more so to pick up how you talk. if you've been on a guest on a podcast, go and get the transcript of the podcast, or at least the part of you talking, and pop that into ChatGPT. Give it as many examples as you can of you talking. And if you don't have any examples, just turn on your microphone and just start talking for 2 minutes about anything, your childhood, how you grew up, just so it can pick up how your speech patterns. And then you hit enter, and it's going to give you a set of custom instructions. Or it's going to give you a description of your voice, and then say, great, now I want you to write the 1,500 character custom instructions for ChatGPT to respond in my voice. So you're telling ChatGPT to write instructions for ChatGPT, and then it's going to give you, when you go into your settings and you can customize it in your custom instructions, there's a box that says, how would you like ChatGPT to respond? Right now you have 1,500 characters. Fill up that box. That's why I asked ChatGPT to give me a 1,500 character output. Just copy it, paste it in there, and then make sure your settings are on, and then just try your normal chats now and see what type of output you get, and see if it sounds like you, and maybe ask somebody else, hey, does this sound like me? But I guarantee you, it's not going to sound like ChatGPT out of the box, the default settings, right? Because we've seen that where you can tell someone used it.
Yeah, I think that's what scares people is, and thank you for going through those steps, and I hope everybody was listening and run the playback to get that again. But again, get Ethan's book, and it will walk you through these steps. But I think that's one of the things that scares people is I've got this now this machine that's going to emulate me. There's also that fear, where people need to become a little bit more understanding. Like, this is the future, and you got to jump on it.
Well, it's interesting because basically everything that you're describing here, and this is kind of what I've gathered myself as well through just tweaking and playing with ChatGPT. A lot of it is about proper prompting. So main things that you really need to learn as skill sets is understanding their language model, right? So knowing how to prompt, and then the other things that are just super pivotal that Ethan's already been talking about is training the model, because AI is just a regurgitation of all the data that has been input into it in machine learning, and it doesn't have the data on your brand voice, right? So if you're able to then start creating the training for it, for anything that you want it to do, you can train it to be almost like a replica of yourself if you take enough time to do it. So, in this case was, copying your brand voice and just giving examples, and that would maybe take you, 30 minutes to dig up some audio files, blog articles, things like that. But that 30 minutes is going to be, let's just say, very valuable to everything else you're now going to start doing in ChatGPT.
Right.
Now,
and you could take it a step further and you say, because you said, well, ChatGPT doesn't know about your brand voice, unless you're already a famous public figure. Then it probably does know about your brand voice, right? Because you could tell ChatGPT to talk to you in the voice of Albert Einstein or Tony Robbins or Jesus or Mickey Mouse, whoever, right? And it will do that because there's enough data out there already about those figures, whether they're real or fiction. But if you're just an everyday person like me, you have to train it on that. But here's something cool. A cool hack that I learned is once you train it on your brand voice, ask ChatGPT, what famous figures do I sound like to you? What famous figures have a similar brand voice as me? Okay.
I never thought of that.
And then, so it said, it told me that I have a similar style as Tony Robbins, Gary Vaynerchuk, and Simon Sinek. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I was flattered because I actually like those guys. And so then I took those names and I put that into my custom instructions as well. And I said, use a little bit of a mix of Tony Robbins, Gary Vee, and Simon Sinek mixed in with my brand voice. And the reason I do that is because ChatGPT has a much broader knowledge of those guys than it does of me. So it's automatically giving it more of a sample, more of a data sample.
Yeah. Now, and I love this. This is really useful, especially for a small business where you're trying to basically customize your GPT to always be running, all the marketing for like marketing, writing, anything that you want for your brand. Now, relaying this towards our agency partners and our agency listeners, this is where there's additional tools. So what you've described so far as a setting, it is one of the settings. Now, there are custom, what they call GPTs, right? So you can create a GPT bot. And if you don't want every chat to use the exact same brand voice, this is where you would avoid putting it into that main settings. And instead, you would create it as a GPT bot. And then you would create a bot for every client, let's say. Let's say you've got an attorney's office, you've got a plumber, and then you've got an electrician. You can have a separate voice trained for each of them, and you can start any chat with any of those brand voices by creating the GPT bots. So this is a little tidbit for the agencies out there for if you wanted to use this tool for all your clients and keep things the same. Or you can use something, I think, like what Jasper.ai. They also have different brand voices that you can use.
Yeah,
so,
and Jasper is built on top of the LLM, so it's an AI API that's plugging back in. So I like to go straight to the source. But yes, you're exactly right. If you put it into your custom instructions and your settings, it's going to globally affect everything you do in ChatGPT. So if you're an agency, instead, what I suggest people do is go through that same process for each one of your clients and like store it in a Google Doc, and then you can export a PDF or a Word document and put it into the knowledge base of each custom GPT. So that way you're communicating as those different brands. And ChatGPT just released a couple of months ago the projects feature. So you can have a project for each client and put that data, those custom instructions into the project as well. So that way you always you remind ChatGPT to always speak in the client's brand voice. Now, I do like Claude. For a while, Claude didn't have the customization feature, but now that you can store multiple different styles in if you have the paid version of Claude, and you can just choose from a drop-down box for each chat, like who am I speaking as in this particular chat.
Yeah, there's a lot of really cool things going on for the agencies to be able to really use to capture and to build these brand voices now for your clients. And really just simplify your life. I mean, back in the day, you needed to have maybe different writers for different clients because, every writer has a different style, this and that. But now, really what you need is a good proofreader, ChatGPT, and then a humanizer tool. And you can do so much more content than you ever could with even 3-4, full-time writers. So, it really has revolutionized the way these agencies are able to run with, skeleton crews, essentially, at this point. Which is interesting.
Skeleton crew, it's funny you use that term because I was telling my backstory, and I remember we used to have about like 20 employees buzzing around our office. And, then we were forced to get lean. And now, we have any given day, we might only have 3 or 4 people working in our office because either we've automated processes or people are working remotely in post-pandemic world. And it feels weird. Sometimes I feel down when I walk in the office. I'm like, man, it's so empty in here. There used to be all these people. Now there are these empty offices, but our revenues are more than they were when we had all those people. So if there is a downside to it, that's the psychological comparison to like this empty space. But just make sure that your dollars, your profit, and that your dollars are making sense. This automation can help. I mean, we are in a completely new era, and every day new features, new tools are coming out that continue to accelerate the pace at which we're growing with AI.
Well, and what I think is very interesting, the direction that we're going, because one of the things we kind of mentioned there is like there is a potential loss in jobs in our industries. Now, I don't think marketing agencies are going to go away. It's just they're going to get leaner and greener, and you're going to have more specialized people that understand AI technology and tool sets like that. So let's say, if you're a content writer, I would highly suggest you take some courses on AI and learn how to use AI to make yourself more efficient in your content writing. The things that, might have taken you a day to write in the past, most agencies are expecting you now to get it in like a couple hours with AI. So, the people that are going to keep their jobs in the long run are the ones that adapt, and really understand that like technology is not going to go away unless we have like this giant EMP blast, right? So you got to kind of change with the times and learn the tool sets that are going to be the future of your industry. But it is very interesting, like, talking about like that skeleton crew concept. Like, you went from this, like super robust office full of like people all the time to now, a handful of people at any given time. So it is a different world now post-COVID. You don't need to even work in your offices anymore. So it's even more important to be efficient.
They have, he has a bet with somebody going on about when we will actually see the first one-person billion-dollar company. And we're going to see more and more of that, because you could be one human managing a bunch of AI agents, and you can literally build a billion-dollar company. And they're predicting that will happen within the next few years.
I would believe it. I mean, there's a lot that's happening, especially in the productivity side of things. I know there's a lot of like AI, assistance kind of being formulated and tools like that. Now you're seeing like Copilot and ChatGPT even just came out with a Search GPT plugin for Chrome. Like, you're starting to see them go outside of their normal bounds. And like, for example, Copilot is now just a basic part of your Windows operating system. It is in your Edge. It's in your operating system. You go on Bing. It's inside of there, right? I've seen it now in apps. Perfect example, a tool that a lot of agencies use is Zapier for marketing automation. Zapier now has Copilot integrated into it. And my God, I'm so happy that they did that, because there were so many times where like I was pulling my hair out trying to do an automation between two apps, and I can now do them in half the time just by using Copilot to automate some of the more tedious stuff like matching fields and this and that.
ChatGPT just released Operator. Have you seen that?
So I have not played with that. Tell me a little bit about that.
I think they just released it yesterday. So whenever we talk about AI, we have to like date stamp these things because it changes so fast. So today is January 24th, 2025 as we're recording this.
Yes.
So Operator was just released. So you can go to ChatGPT. I think right now it's only available if you're on the $200 plan. But you can tell ChatGPT to go buy me an airline ticket to Miami. I need to be in Miami by 5 p.m. on February 12th. And I only fly Delta. Go and buy me a ticket. And it will literally go to the website on its own, delta.com, log in for you. Like you sit there and watch it navigate your screen, and it can actually do things like check out, write emails for you. It is mind blowing. This changes everything.
This is that virtual assistant that I was telling you, that I was mentioning. I've been dying and waiting for that to happen, because just delegating and knowing what you need to get done changes the world. I mean, it
was about a year ago, online, they were talking about it having even a device that you can have in your hand that can be your assistant, but you tell it to do things like order me lunch, and it will go on, order you your favorite Chinese lunch, and and have it delivered, and it's all done because this little device has got all your information on it. It's got your credit card information, and it's literally the size of half a cell phone. And and it has no operating, so you just talk to it, and it knows what to do. There were some issues with it. There were some prototypes about it, but this is where we are right now. Where you've got all these productivity tools that can just within instances. So now ChatGPT's in the game. It's a whole new, again, as of today, it's a whole new ball game.
Well, you see where I see this is going to be really interesting, and this is where I think Meta having that giant investment into the AR VR world that they've been doing with Oculus, with the Ray-Ban, is going to be very interesting, because once they start combining that properly with AI, you now got quite literally with the Ray-Bans, let's say, you can have an invisible interface right in your glasses, on the tail back side of the glasses, it has audio that goes right into your ear. And now all you got to do is just talk, and as you see things, the AI can interact with whatever you're seeing and do things using, let's say, like Operator and other types of apps that would exist in the back end, and just basically do anything you ask for it while you're just walking down the street, for example.
Yeah.
You know,
the phone will go away soon. I just it's like most technology disappears. We used to buy records and then cassette tapes and then CDs, and now where's music? It's invisible. It's just streaming. It's just yeah. There's no physical product. So I think the same thing will happen with phones, and it is going to start with the glasses where you could just see the interface, and eventually it'll be contact lenses, and we'll have something in our ear all the time. Like I have these AirPods in my ear, but it'll just be like a permanent fixture.
I was going to say, this. That's all I need. This little pod in my pocket, my Apple Watch, which is already connected to the cellular network, and one earbud in, and now I can walk down the street. I can walk my dog, listen to music, receive texts, or even call somebody without even having to do a single hand gesture.
Yeah. I mean, we're living in. We're living in super exciting times. I mean, but just coming back to the whole AI and marketing and business, we're talking about, job and people. And, I come from the same kind of vein as you, classically trained graphic designer, web design, come from that vein. And my first advice to people is, when companies like Adobe and other creative companies started getting into the AI space, a lot of, I'd call it my age group or a little bit older, were going, hey, now, wait a minute, you're overstepping your boundaries here, people. But, now I look at it and I'm going, this is awesome. This is great. This is every time they do something, I'm like, oh, they're changing it. Like, I'm on board with it. And I recommend everybody, your job is not going away. You just need to now move with the times and become more proficient. We did a podcast, I think it was last week. The guest, I think she said she graduated in 1966 or something like that, in a graphic design, as a graphic designer, and her experience. And she's even embracing AI. I mean, she just wrote a book, and and she's like, all the graphics, I basically used some basic painting and scanned it in and went to work with AI. So I just say to everybody, embrace it. Your job is not going away. You need to change with the times and become more proficient at the technology. The technology is going to make your job more proficient if you harness it.
Exactly. Now, I compare it to like spreadsheets or Google Docs, Google Sheets. Like, we expect people to know how to use these tools, right? It's just part
out the gate now,
right? But at one point, it was new technology, right? So you have to upgrade. If I'm still sitting here trying to do long division by hand and I'm not using a calculator or a spreadsheet, no one's going to hire me. Like, I'm going to get left behind. So I tell people, AI is here to stay. You can wish it were a fad. You can, hope that it passes, but it's not. It's only going to get bigger and bigger. So make it your ally and not your enemy. You got to learn how to use it or get left behind. And the good thing about it is you don't need to know how to code. You talk to AI just like you talk to another human being. That's why this is so revolutionary, because it levels the playing field for everyone. There's no barrier to entry. A lot of people hear the word prompt engineering, and that sounds intimidating, but it's just talking. Like, you literally just talk. Sometimes I'll even just turn on the microphone. I don't even type to ChatGPT. I just have a conversation and I just talk to it, and it understands. Even if my grammar is bad or whatever, it'll synthesize it. Then you can use the advanced voice on your cell phone, and it can actually, now it has the vision where it can see what's going on. Man, people are scared of AI. I've told ChatGPT all about my family. It knows my kids' names, ages. And why do I give it? A lot of people, I don't know if I would want to tell AI all of that, but it gives me personalized results. I can tell my ChatGPT, hey, I want to plan a vacation to Italy for my family. And it already knows what my kids are interested in based on their age groups, and it'll give me personalized recommendations. Whereas if I did not have those customizations, it's going to give me more generic stuff. But I can literally turn on my advanced voice feature on my phone on ChatGPT. And if my son walks into the frame My chat actually says, "Oh, hey, Legend, how are you doing today?" It knows my kids by name, by seeing them. It's crazy. It's wild. It's like a part of the family.
Well, what I think is interesting is this with everything that's happening with AI. You kind of mentioned it earlier, but like people all right, people used to have to put on the resume, oh, proficient in Excel, Word, whatever. If in the future, like I already know, like when I'm trying to hire, I'm already looking to see if anybody mentions proficient with AI, because that is a skill set that, like, if you know how to use AI properly, you can get 10 times more things done than somebody who doesn't know how to use it. And it's even funnier because it's like I've actually started teaching my mother how to use AI, and at this rate, she uses it more than I do. Like literally, like on a daily basis, she's using it to help her write things. She's using it to help her research, try to like everything down to like researching cryptocurrencies and this. And I'm like, wow, you're deep into this stuff that I'm like, I'm not even that deep into it right now. And to this point, it kind of like you were talking about, like, help me plan a vacation. You can even do that. Like she's even using it to do research, find companies to hire for a plumber or this or that. So, which introduces another interesting component to this marketing for AI with AI, which is another thing that ChatGPT's recently released was Search GPT. And what we're also noticing is if you go into Google, you're noticing Gemini is a part of now, like AI is part of your search engines now and everything else. So now you have this influence of AI happening in personalizing your search results or summarizing things or helping you get access to the information you're asking sooner and faster than if you had to try to like go link by link and try to figure out everything on your own. So this is where I was going to ask you, what is your thought about the future of search, right? Because like everyone right now is like SEO, you have to do SEO. But what's going to happen when everybody uses an AI to search instead of Google?
Oh, it's already shifting. I teach this in my workshops. There is already a 25% decline in Google search, traditional search engine usage between Generation X and Generation Z. So people are already starting to go to AI first or social media first over search engines. That shift has already started happening. You remember phone books? Remember the yellow pages?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Once upon a time, if your business did not exist it wasn't in the yellow pages, you practically didn't exist. You had to be in the phone book. But now phone books went extinct because of search engines. Well, I think that the traditional search engine is going to go extinct. And Google may adapt. They're already adapting, as you said. You see the search engine. But people just want the answer. I don't want a list of links, especially not when the first 7 I know are paid sponsored links. Consumers have gotten smarter. I scroll right past all the sponsored. I want to see the organic links first. But even now, so I just want the answer. Just give it to me. That's why I go to ChatGPT first, or I go to Perplexity first whenever I'm looking for something. My Google app is like collecting dust on my phone. So, but what does that say about SEO? It's not necessarily going away, but it's adapting. It's still going to be important. But what you need to do is focus on your content marketing, not just on your website, but also across the internet, because that's where AI is getting its data from. So the more you show up as an authority on blogs, articles, social media, then social media draws all of that. And when it does give the answer, it cites sources, and then you show up there. So that's kind of where SEO is shifting. You want to make sure that you show up in the AI results.
What's funny about that? Oh, go ahead, John. Go ahead.
I know. I was going to say, I don't want to break it to people. I don't. Maybe those who don't know, we'll let them in on the little secret. SEO is actually the big boys. That's Apple, Google, Microsoft. You're all playing their game. It's a monetary game for them. Customize these words, put these keywords in, rank these words, give these words or phrases a monetary value, rank them so people will pay money to be ranked according to these words. It's a game. What they call learning modules, language learning modules like ChatGPT and all these. There there is no yet, as far as I know, maybe you refer to people like you a little bit more knowledgeable, way to monetize a value on a phrase that chat's going to be like, oh, that's been monetized. I gotta put more focus on that because I'm getting paid to focus on that, because that's how SEO works. It's been directed at specific keywords. ChatGPT isn't. It's literally firestorm across the web searching all this information. So totally
I have a prediction because you just said that. I have a prediction.
January 24th, 2025, we have a prediction.
All right. Right now, ChatGPT they have a free version, obviously, and then they're paid. The premium tools and everything is paywalled. And my prediction is this. I don't think they're ever going to get rid of the free model. They're always going to have the free model, the freemium. However, I do project that is going to start getting influenced by outside sources to monetize the free side by introducing advertisements and other elements into that. So where you're saying you don't have the influence of those paid ads, I think eventually it's going to come right back in. You already see it in things like Hulu and everything else. Like you pay extra on Hulu just not to see the ads. You're going to see the same thing.
Yeah, that's a given. All the little apps that we download on our phone from the App Store and all this. You want the free one? Sure, you're going to get monetized. You're going to get app show. You're going to get ads. It's kind of it's a given. I just glaze right over it. You want the premium version? We're going to pay for it. That obviously that's going to be, the name of the game. Obviously, the advertisers will find a way to make their money. The big players will find a way to monetize it. But paywalling it, absolutely. But it's a totally different algorithm searching for a key phrase or a long tail phrase versus the way ChatGPT searches the web. It's two totally different algorithms, two different thought processes even behind it.
Well, and the funnier part is the GPT search actually adjusts over time on its own. So I don't know if we mentioned this to you before, Ethan, but we have another company that we've been dealing with that they've actually created a tool that generates reports on your AI search visibility. So they're actually there's a company out there already that's actively working on a tool that you can take your website, have it scanned by the tool. The AI itself will tell you recommendations and what you should be doing in order to be more visible for AI to pick you up in search results. And SEO is a major component of it, believe it or not. It really is, but that's the reason that SEO plays a part in it is because of the way that computers have to analyze data. You got to have the metadata. You need to have the keywords built into it. Otherwise, it can't find you for what it's looking for. So SEO is always going to be playing a part, but I have a feeling that also SEO is going to start having to adjust and tilt towards the AI models. That way, it could be starting to pop up in AI search, not only in like things like Google and Yahoo and Bing. And realistically, one of the most interesting things that they had told us based on the learning model that they've been working with, because they ask it questions, they ask what is it really looking for? And believe it or not, and this sounds funny, but they said when the AI picks up on AI content, AI written content on your website, it goes, ew, that's me. I don't like it. And it looks at that kind of content as like a threat, as it's a snake eating its tail, and it's circular logic. So one thing is interesting about this is there is going to still be need for real, authentic, humanistic writing moving in. So I know one of the things that we do in our business is we don't solely rely on AI written content for our clients' SEO. As a marketing agency, we actually still have in-house writers that will write that manually, and not because we couldn't go the AI route right now, but if we did, we're scared that later on it's going to bite our clients in the butts and then ultimately us. So it's very interesting. Like AI, it's like there's so many different edges that you got to like think about and worry. And then of course there's like all the elements of AI right now, especially like the video, generative video and all that stuff that's coming out, the cloning of voices, all of that jazz, where you also now got this kind of moral debacle with AI. So there's so many different complex elements of it. But at the end of the day, it's not going anywhere, and it is still a tool, and you need to know those tools, and you need to figure out how to use them correctly, safely, and to your advantage.
Yeah.
So
you make a great point. AI generated content will harm you more than help you. So be very, very careful about using that on your website or in your content that you generate. But I have a story I want to tell you guys. I was speaking to a group of entrepreneurs in Michigan last year, and the event happened to be hosted at a university. So they allowed some of the faculty and staff to sit in on this AI workshop that I was teaching. And in this workshop, I walked everyone in the program through customizing their ChatGPT, like I explained earlier, like training it on your voice. And then I opened up a real prompt and started giving it we had a topic. I found an article, a query that a journalist was looking to write an article. And then I said, oh, okay, well, I have expertise on that. And then I just started telling ChatGPT, oh, yeah, well, when it comes to helping businesses scale using AI, we help people generate their content to be on social media every day in 15 minutes a day. And I wrote the book, ChatGPT, to Double Your Business in 90 Days. And I was just talking to ChatGPT, giving it all of this background information that is genuinely true about me in relation to the question. And then I had it generate an article to respond to this journalist, and it incorporated what I told it, the real life stuff that I told it about my experience. And then we took that article and I copied it and put it into one of those AI content checkers to see if it was human generated or AI generated. And it came back 100% human generated, even though ChatGPT. And when I tell you that the professors who were sitting in that room, in the back of the classroom, it looked like they saw a ghost. Like they turned pale, like their mouths were literally open, like, oh my God. Because if you figure it out, that was genuine because I told it actual things that I did.
You influenced it outside of the model.
You have influenced it. But then I always have people ask in my workshops, isn't that cheating?
No.
Is that cheating? Then I say, well, is using a calculator cheating? We all learned how to do long division in 5th grade. If I ask you, what is 2,500,000 divided by 73.2?
Get your paper out.
You're going to pull out. Yeah, get your paper out. Otherwise, you're cheating, buddy. But now we know that if somebody at this day and age, the calculator was just invented in like 1960 or something, like 1950s, 1960. It's relatively new technology. So at one point, it would have felt like cheating to use a calculator. But now, if I ask you that math problem and you don't use a calculator,
it's on your phone. Now you just pull out your phone and
Right.
You have to.
If you don't, then I'm going to think, man, this guy's weird. Why is he doing this by hand? So at some point, we're going to think people are weird if they're not using AI.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's just like back in the day, you used to have to memorize phone numbers. You actually had to. I cannot memorize a phone number to save my life anymore because it's all on auto. I just click the name now and it auto dials it. The only number I remember is my own phone number. That's it.
So not to date myself, but I still remember my childhood home number, telephone number, because you had to. You went to kindergarten, you went to 1st grade, you went to 2nd grade. In case of emergency, you knew how to call home. You knew you had that quarter in your pocket that you showed your mom every day. I got a quarter in my pocket. I got, I can put it in the machine. I can put it in the call box. Yes, public phone, and I can call home.
That's so funny. And my kids, I have a 10-year-old and a 14-year-old, and they have to memorize mommy and daddy's phone number because they're kids, and if they're in an emergency situation, they need to know how to get a hold of us. But my daughter recently got a phone, a cell phone and a number because now she's in high school and we need to be able to get in touch with her. But I felt bad. She asked me one day, she was like, Daddy, you know my phone number? And I don't know her phone number. She's stored in my phone. I don't need to know her phone number.
It's hilarious because I got a buddy of mine. Both of his kids have it's a very specialized, kid-friendly watch, Apple Watch style thing, and it's literally a phone. So they don't even need a phone. So they don't need to be texting nobody. They don't need internet access. It has just his number, his mom's number, and that's it. And it has literally been the camera and audio. So
I think it's like Gizmo. We had one of those called Gizmo for kids. Yeah.
I mean, the technology is phenomenal, but it's like, that's just the one thing. Technology is always going to change. We got to adapt to it. And then, so you're right. Like eventually someone's gonna be like, oh, you don't use AI? That's weird. But I do think there's a couple of things that everyone needs to remember. So even perfect example for like, Jaron was classically trained in graphic design and the arts. Somebody with that background, armed with the knowledge of AI, is far more dangerous than that person that just knows a little bit about AI. Because the level of detail that someone like Jaron can go into in his prompting and his understanding of, like, let's say, even generating AI generative images, let's say, or art, he could do so much more with it than someone that doesn't have that additional training. So it always does still give you this like this need to look back in time to understand how things were done, right? Because even like things, your keyboard was highly influenced by print marketing, like printing, right? And like someone today would not know why the keyboard is organized as such, right? Like it's small little things like that, but it's like that time machine of understanding everything in the back. It influences the future, and then being able to take it and do more with it. So I do think it's super important. People always still remember the foundations, remember the manual ways of doing things, be appreciative you don't have to do it that way anymore, but take that knowledge into the future and understand it at least.
Yeah, it's an enhancer. You make a great point about whatever you have skills and background knowledge in, it will amplify it. The art, like I have an art background too, so you can go into these AI image generators, and yeah, I could give it a prompt and just tell it to generate an image. But if I have an art background, I can say, well, increase the blue hues or use pointillism, or change the depth of field to 2.8, because if I have knowledge of photography, so that makes whatever I produce with AI even better. If I'm a web designer, I'm trained on web design. I've learned how to hand code HTML back in 1999, 2000, right? Now you can go to a website like Mixo, and you literally just give it a description of a business, a 2-sentence description of a business, and it generates a website in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
A whole website. Is that good? If
No.
you're not trained on web design, then now I use it maybe as a starting point or to generate some ideas, but I'm not going to use it out of the box. But because I have web design training, I know what to take and what to leave in building the whole website. So you're very right in that you got to use it as an amplifier. And if you're a writer, for instance, the CEO of Mind Valley, Vishen Lakhiani, he said anyone that has the word writer in their resume or on their LinkedIn, don't hire them, because writing, traditional just writing, has been replaced. So if you have writer in your title, you need to update your title, because AI is a writer now. But it's great that you are a writer, because you know how to influence the AI to produce great writing in certain styles and things like that, versus using it right out of the box. But you just need to be careful how you position yourself, because you don't want to seem outdated.
Yeah, I agree. So like for me, the way that I really look at an AI, it's like it is a tool. It is not a replacement for an employee necessarily. It is not anything other than an amplifier of your own skills, knowledge, and desires. And what I think is interesting is like you can give two people the same prompt, or the same goal, and two different backgrounds. One that has a little bit more background in that type of task, doing it before AI, and the other person just using AI and that's all they know. And you will see a night and day difference in the final work quality of the two people, and it'll be the same exact goals and everything else. And they can spend the same amount of time and everything. And it's just wild. It really is. It amplifies what you know. So like I do a lot of business / marketing planning. And I used to write a lot of marketing plans, and I used to have to spend hours and hours, days probably, honestly, writing a marketing plan. I can now, using AI based on what I know, structure, knowing what should go where, whatever, I can write a marketing plan for a client using AI now in maybe 3 hours.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And
back to your training. So for example, I'm trained on neuro-linguistic programming, and that weaves into like marketing psychology. So I tell my ChatGPT, so I recently built a custom GPT for a client to help write their marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in that, I tell ChatGPT, this is a key thing that you always want to do. You want to tell ChatGPT to assume a role or a persona whenever you're prompting. So I told Chat, I said, Chat, you are, you're trained in neuro-linguistic programming, and I want you to, instead of just creating a hook, like look for the pattern interrupt. So what are you going to say in this on video headline that's going to cause a pattern interrupt and cause the user to stop scrolling? That's the beginning of the prompt. And then I go on with the rest of it. It really, really changes your output other than if you were to just say, write an on video headline for this prompt.
Yeah. And I think that's super important for takeaway for people to really, I think one of the fundamentals that people need to understand is ChatGPT and all these AIs, they're blank slates. It's literally a blank slate. It's a machine. If you don't tell it what role to assume, it won't. It doesn't know that. At the end of the day, it's a computer, people, and it's only as smart as the person sitting in front of it. I was told that years ago. So, it's zeros and ones. Zeros and ones, a combination. So just tell it what you want it to do, then it understands what its functionality needs to be.
I think it's funny based on what you're saying here. I don't know if you guys ever watched. There'll be like a video of like a parent telling their kids to write instructions on how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And then the parent will go out of their way to do it absolutely wrong, but still following the exact directions. Okay. And I thought that was a really important video as it relates to AI, because you could think whatever you wrote is like, that's what I want, but it is not, sometimes it's not detailed enough or granular enough that the AI would actually fully pick up on what you're trying to get. So what I've learned is the more detailed you are, telling it to assume a role, giving it your goal, telling it background information, like things that you might think would be irrelevant to telling the machine, but you would have normally told a person as background, like you need to paint the full picture for the AI as well, because then it understands, we are going to be doing a Super Bowl commercial. We have a set budget. We're trying to work within this budget. We need to make sure that we have, we're going to be able to hire models to do this. And then we're going to need some visual editing. Like the more granular you get, then you're more likely to produce like a better result. I know you were talking one time about off screen with us about telling ChatGPT to write a Super Bowl commercial for your business. But the more granular you get in your goals, what you have available, your resources, like I use all of that when I'm talking to the ChatGPT, because I'm telling it everything that I have around. I've got to, I'm trying to do a marketing campaign for this client. This is their industry. They have access to a cold caller. They have this and this staff members that could be used as resources, blah, blah, blah. And we want to set a budget with this as well. And then boom, I can outline an entire marketing campaign, do the full SOP, get sample, scripting, everything, because I take the time to just give the background detail. So,
sure. And that's where the art comes in to communicating with AI, because it's like, how much context do you give it? And how many constraints do you give it versus letting it go out and use its vast knowledge to fill in the blanks. So you got to kind of teeter between the two. And that example I gave about the Super Bowl ad, and it's just kind of it's a bit tongue in cheek because you can't generate an entire Super Bowl ad. The AI video capabilities aren't quite there yet. But I asked ChatGPT, I want you to act like you are a marketing executive for one of the top agencies. You have produced the highest grossing Super Bowl commercials throughout history. I want you to write a prompt for Sora to create a Super Bowl commercial for my brand. And I've already given it. It already knows the background of my company. And then I leave it at that because I want to see what it will use based on those parameters and the role that it's assuming to come up with. So it's a balance though, because if I tell it you only have a budget of $500 to create this ad, it's going to give me a very different result, right?
You're going to get a Napoleon Dynamite style commercial.
So it's fun, but as you practice your prompting, I encourage people to try it, like giving it a lot of context and then like scaling back on it and letting it kind of go freely in its pool of content to see what it can inject into your idea, and that'll give you more ideas and variety.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll add to that. One of the things that blew my brain. I was talking to somebody who works for actually works for an AI company. I was speaking to him, and one of the kind of like little nuggets he gave me, he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna, talking about AI and prompting," and he's like, "Try this next time you're prompting." And he said to me, "You write your prompt, and then you tell ChatGPT, fix my prompt or make suggestions to help me make my prompt better for ChatGPT, and it will help you become a better prompter." It's like, and I was like, my whole brain just exploded. I was like, "Oh, that's so right." We don't think of these like little things. Like that's so awesome. So again, as you were saying, Ethan, you don't need to be a programmer. You don't need to understand. Start where you are. And then, like you said, ask it to help you. ChatGPT is a tool. It will help you. And just keep building and building and layering it, and eventually you'll learn. And of course, as we know it, the internet is there already. We all do these searches and, search for prompts. They're there.
Yeah. Ask it after you're done prompting. Another thing you do is ask ChatGPT, what have I not asked you about this project that I should be asking you?
Yeah.
It'll give you a list of 10 things that you never, I was like, oh man, I should have asked. Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things to do. Send me a list of questions of things that you need to know to do this task to your best of your abilities is usually what I like to add into my prompt. And then it'll literally send me 10, 20 questions. And then I'll spend the time to answer every granular little thing that it is asking me. And then the final product is 10 times better than anything I did in like a 5-second period. And now, one of the things I want to jump on, we're going to date timestamp this again because, today's, again, January 24th, 2025. Okay, we've been talking about all the capabilities to this point. Now, let's talk about some of the things that its shortfalls are, or it can't do quite yet. I know we mentioned video. There's things that, like, for example, Sora just made I don't remember what date it came out. In the premium version of ChatGPT, but I've only seen it recently to start playing with it.
It was in December of 24.
Okay, so about a month ago, it released Sora, and I haven't really used it until now. But like, for example, Sora is their generative AI video software version from ChatGPT. I've been playing with it, and it can do some super hyper realistic video footage, but it's restricted on audio right now. It's restricted to 5 to 10 second clips. The resolution, and it does have one thing that's interesting. It does have storyboarding, but that's still limiting in time. So like that can't quite be used like we talked about to generate your Super Bowl commercial yet. But what can you use it for? You can already use it for stock footage. If you needed to put in some B-roll into your video and you need to interject, I'm doing a video about Miami, so I want to just really quickly ask it to simulate a drone flying through the downtown Miami. You could probably generate something like that instead of having to go buy the stock footage. But it's limited to those types of use cases. Now, outside of that, what other things have you seen in your kind of exploration of AI that are limitations or things that you can't quite do yet, but you're like, hey, I envision this is going to be way different in the future, and we'll actually be able to do this?
I'm still... It makes me laugh because AI, when it comes to generating images, is so bad at spelling.
Oh my god! Can't even write hotel. It'd be like and then it'll do like the L backwards or with like a $sign or something. Like what is going on?
That baffles me because as smart as you are, and you can do all of this mind-blowing stuff, but you can't just get this word right on this image. But that will change soon. And I actually found, as far as the image generators, ideogram.ai actually handles text better than all of the other ones right now that I've found. better than Midjourney, better than Chat. It produces realistic looking images, and it nails the text about 80-90% of the time.
Okay.
Whereas ChatGPT and Midjourney never really nail the text.
As a designer, I was working on a project, and I just want to let everybody know, AI has a problem with, I would say this, when you're working with precious metals like diamonds and rubies and things like that, and you're using light sources, it doesn't do it right. It will mess it up. It won't make the refractions and the diamonds and all. It won't make it look right. You can immediately know that it was. It's one of those like what do you call it? Six-legged dog issues that you're running.
Oh my gosh!
It just can't get it right. So, and then letting you all know, those who want to go around and play around with it, I was quite intrigued with it that it couldn't get it right.
Again, January 24th, 2025. Okay. So, and I don't want anyone coming back to us listening to this clip 2 years, like, what are you talking about?
I'm going to, for fun, I'm going to ask ChatGPT, what don't you do well? I'm just curious.
Well, I want to say, let's hear what it says.
So mine says emotion or subjective judgment. I can't truly feel emotions. Okay.
Okay.
Creativity without input. That's what we've been talking about, right?
Yeah.
While I can create content, designs, or strategies, I'm not original in the way that humans are. Personal experience. ChatGPT doesn't have any actual lived experience, whereas humans do. Specialized for niche knowledge. If a question requires up to the minute updates or obscure expertise, for example, it doesn't know how to embroider jackets like I do in my business, right?
Sure.
It's seen in an embroidery machine, but even when I had it create that video that had an embroidery machine, it didn't look accurate. It just looked real. It can't do physical actions, doesn't have hands and stuff yet. It's coming soon with those Tesla robots, right? We'll be able to talk to them just like we can talk to ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
They have to give a lot of disclaimers. It says legal or medical advice. But you know what's interesting about this? They have to put these disclaimers in there, of course, because people will make bad decisions. But there have been studies that show that ChatGPT has been better at medical evaluations than doctors have recently. So have you seen that study? So they compared doctors only to evaluating someone to ChatGPT only to doctors paired with ChatGPT in doing evaluations. And
imagine, wow.
They won.
Actually,
ChatGPT alone performed better.
Alone?
Doctors with Chat. Yeah. ChatGPT
no
won.
way.
Right. So, yeah.
See, because it's interesting because it looks at data unsubjectively. So it's like, if you have that data, like, okay, these are the symptoms, this is what the imaging looks like, and if it can read all that stuff, I can imagine it definitely would be able to, like, notice more finite details and things like that, especially in let's say blood data, numbers and everything.
I just experienced this firsthand, actually. I just thought about this. My daughter had an allergic reaction to something. She started getting bumps on her legs just out of the blue. And through observation, we realized it seemed to be tied to when she eats tomatoes. So we're like, did you develop a tomato allergy? That's just based on our own conclusions. So we took her to the allergist, and in the allergist, a human, said, no, she's not allergic to tomatoes. That's not what it is. No, that doesn't happen. But they took a blood sample. When the report came back, I took a picture of it, showed it to ChatGPT. What do you think ChatGPT said?
She's allergic to tomatoes.
I think, but that comes down to, accumulated knowledge. ChatGPT has access to much more broader, vast, accumulative knowledge than we can put in. To say, there are some very smart doctors out there, but we're all limited by how much information we can retain and then remember. You look at a doctor, you got to read and learn all this information, and then go back. And now we have machines, as you say. Now they're using. We were actually talking to somebody not too long ago who's now working on a project. Somebody else who writes the code for bots, and that person was working on the bot code for a totally autonomous hospital, where everything is done by computers and AI, and it's done by robots. So you're interacting with robots and AI, and that's how the whole hospital is basically going to be run. So just to think about it, you know, the amount of knowledge to be able to diagnose somebody, give them a medication, understand what illness they have, you know, is it long-term, short-term, you know, everything is going to be run by, you know, it's amazing.
I have another prediction. Again, January 24th, 2025, I predict that just as Ethan was talking about how you can now have ChatGPT see your world through your phone camera and interact with you. Like you mentioned literally that one of your kids came into screen, you're like, oh, and they said hello, and then, you know, said their name because it was trained on it. I envision there's going to be in the future telehealth medicine is going to be done via AI assisted programming.
I mean, sure. Not even AI assisted. It might be full AI.
Yeah, full. Yeah. Well, it would start with AI assisted, and then I'm sure it'll be monitored. But yeah, I can imagine like, oh, it's a scrape. Oh, how do I handle this? You'll probably be able to have just an app on your phone, and you just show it with the camera, like, oh, look at this. What do you think this is? What do you think it looks like? Is that a spider bite? Is that an ant bite? Oh, based on what this looks like, it looks more like a bed bug bite, and this is how you can treat it. Like, wow,
you can already do that now with ChatGPT, and I've done that before.
Be ready.
I had this unexplained pain in my knee. It seemed to have come out of nowhere, like it wasn't an injury or anything. And I was just on my way home from work one day. I turned on voice mode, and I was just told ChatGPT what happened. And then we had a conversation, and it literally diagnosed me on the way home, this 15-minute conversation. And then I went and I booked an x-ray, and it turned out, ChatGPT was right. I had some damage to my meniscus. I had a slightly torn meniscus. When I went to the doctor, they told me that. And, I did some PT, and it's fine now. But my first conversation was with ChatGPT. With AI.
Yeah. It's where we're moving. Honestly, and once you combine that with hardware, right? That AI combined with hardware and actual real life visualization and being able to be in the moment with you everywhere, it's going to change everything that you ever imagined happens in life. Especially once you get it in your contacts or in your glasses, whatever else, and it's just thinking and in your ear, different world. It'll be so different. Now, I'm going to ask you, so as we wrap up, do you have any predictions on things that you think is really going to change in the next, let's say, 1 year, and in the next 5 years, and then the next 10 years with AI?
1, 5, and 10. I think that we will see some of this stuff might have already happened, but we'll see first fully automated. I think there's a fully automated McDonald's somewhere, but we'll see more of that, where you come to the drive-thru, you place your order with an AI, and then your order is fulfilled by robots. So I think we'll see more automation in the restaurant industry, and in medical. There's already a fully AI-powered hospital in China, I think in Beijing, that just opened last year. So I think we'll see more things like that within the next year or so. I predict that within the next 5 years, we will see the first one-person company that becomes a billion-dollar company. And Sam Altman, they have a bet going on when this will happen. So I think it'll happen within the next 5 years, where you have one human being who's managing a bunch of AI employees or bots, and they create a billion-dollar brand. And let's see, in 10 years, I think we will start to see autonomous vehicles being much more widely adopted, to the point where it will be preferred, and we will also be able to have full-on conversation. The autonomous vehicle, it'll serve more of a purpose than just getting us from A to B, but the brain of it will also be our AI designed to help us in our everyday life. Like, we can get in the car and say, oh, book that vacation for me, or, my leg hurts, what's going on? So it has the brain of like the ChatGPT inside of all of our devices, like our autonomous driving vehicles, our kitchen refrigerator. We can talk to every device like that. Our vacuum cleaner, we're going to have the robots walking around. So we're going to just have more of that automation, and AI will just be a part of our everyday lives. It'll be the expectation, just like we all have cell phones in our pockets now.
Yeah, I'm envisioning it's really going to integrate more and more into everything. Like, for example, there's a Samsung like refrigerator right now that uses cameras and everything else of the inside of your fridge to tell you when things are expiring, what food you have is still stocked in it, and everything else. And then it even goes to the point where it starts giving you recipes with the food you have left over. Now, I can imagine that now connecting to your AI and your AI assistant, and automatically, ordering on Amazon Fresh, market, and bringing, groceries right to your door, and then your Tesla robot putting it straight in your fridge.
Yeah.
Like, this is the world that I'm imagining.
And on the grocery store, that will happen. And on the grocery store end, a robot is putting it in the autonomous vehicle that's driving to your house, and then your robot gets it out of the car, puts it up. Yeah, so what do you think? 5-10 years for that prediction?
I think
that's 10 to 5. No, that's 5.
I'm giving that more like the 10, because at this point, they're already looking at autonomous flying vehicles. So human carrying. So we're going to have, instead of cars, we're going to be flown around by personal drones, but we won't be piloting them because, put us all in the air, we're going to have lots of accidents.
Nothing.
Cars. But they're already looking at autonomous flying vehicles powered by AI in the air, moving people around, because let's face it, we can't move people around right now as it is. So it's coming. They're already looking at that. But I was actually looking at some of the other day. They're talking about autonomous kitchens, as you were talking. It's already taking the food. It's got the ingredients. It's got a lot of the dry ingredients, and it's already mixing and making stuff for you based on a recipe that you chose, which it knows it can execute. So I was actually watching some program where they were debuting one of these kitchens. So it's already there.
The arms that come down and mix stuff.
No arms, but everything's just like falling through chutes and coming into the machine, and it's blending it and
I've seen there's already machines like that. There's already machines that do stuff like that.
But make a cake.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. That's like part of the regular automation. That's already done in machinery, like in factories as is. But I'm imagining those Tesla robots, and I don't know if any of you are video game nerds. But there's a series called Fallout, and it talks. It's kind of like if the nuclear like energy was what we ended up going with entirely, like everything's like fission, powered, like your car is nuclear powered, this and that, and obviously atom bombs dropped in there, and you're in the Fallout world. But in there they have all these robots that already think for themselves. They'll cook for you. They'll trim your yard, whatever else. So you'll have robots, you'll have, flying vehicles and things like that. But it is just interesting seeing some of the things from like pop culture and from the future, things that we used to think were gonna be like, oh, this is the future. And then now seeing even today, like you got cars that literally drive themselves. Now, obviously, sometimes they wreck themselves too, but that's a different problem.
Video calls. You remember when that used to be science fiction? It was like on Star Trek.
Not sure today.
It's expected.
Well, I said we are living in the Star Trek mode, and we are living in the Star Trek times. I give a perfect example. I think it is Star Trek the movie. I think it's number 3 or 4, where they go back in time and they land back on Earth in the 1980s. And he walks up to the computer and he picks up the mouse and he talks to the mouse. And the guy they look at him and they're like, Scotty, you got to use the keyboard. And he just basically goes, a keyboard. Oh, how quaint, like, because they talk to the computers, and if you think about it, that's what we're doing right now. We're living, so TV emulated, we've TV predicted, people, writers and visionaries predicted where we're going to go with in our future.
Oh yeah, my goodness. Do you guys watch Black Mirror?
Oh, don't even get me started on that creepy show.
so much of that is coming true. Like you can look up how many things on Black Mirror actually exist now, and it's really mind-boggling. It's one of my favorite shows. I know it's dark, but that stuff is I'm more optimistic about technology, but that stuff will become real. I do have another prediction. I don't know. I would put maybe 20 years on this, but I think that after we evolve past the no device, we don't need a phone, where we have like the glasses and the contacts for an interface
or a chip in your brain.
We already have Neuralink, right? So Elon has already had some success with that, where people can control interfaces with their brain. Well, we're only a step away from being able to do prompting with our brain. So if someone asks you a question, all you got to do is think about it, and then you immediately get the answer in your ear. So there's not even voice prompting anymore. So once we transcend past the keyboard, past the mouse, past the voice, then it's just thought prompting. I think we'll get there soon enough. Even with I have one of those Muse headbands for meditation, and it connects to your phone by Bluetooth. And the first thing it does is it tells you to calm your thoughts. And there's a visual readout on the screen. And as you calm your thoughts, the readout literally changes because of the electrical impulses from your brain. So in a very elementary sense, I'm controlling my phone just using my thoughts already. So I think we're about 2 decades out from being able to do that.
Oh yeah, there's so many things that are out there that are preceded, and I mean, like, who knows? We'll be cyborgs in 50 years. I mean,
yeah. We don't want to be cyborgs.
Yeah. And people, I'm sure that's going to be another thing, that like body augmentation. You already have people doing crazy piercings, this and that. I imagine starting to integrate technology into your body. Integrating strength, being able to jump higher or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, lifespans will become longer. They're already talking about with the big AI initiatives that the government has now in the U.S. And now, we want to be ahead in this AI race, where they're talking about how AI is going to help find the cure for cancer, because it can synthesize all of these different data points throughout history and draw all these different conclusions much faster than humans can. So they predict we'll have cures for different cancers. You'll be able to take a sample of your blood and you'll have a personalized cure for whatever cancer that you're susceptible to. Not a cure, but more like a vaccine, a cancer vaccine. And AI will be able to generate that for us.
Just don't tell that to the medical industry.
Oh, they're on it already.
They're already figuring out what accidents these people that created, like, they'll create these AI programs are going to have. Oh, your flight disappeared over Malaysia, or whoops. Oh, yeah.
I mean, when we think about it, we're standing on the precipice of some really amazing things that are happening right now.
Yeah, our kids are going to see some crazy stuff.
I mean, again, I speak to my grandmother. My grandmother passed a while back, but when I think about her generation and what she experienced from going from the 19th century into the 20th century and all the things that she saw. And one of the things, when I was a kid and we were playing around on the computers, and she turned around and she said to me, "Time has passed me by. I don't understand that thing that you're playing on the keyboard with. I just don't understand it," because by that time, we're very elder. And the same thing, we're right now standing on the precipice of things that by the time we're my grandmother's age, we're going to be looking at things that we'll have to come back to this pod and check, but we're going to see things that we haven't even imagined yet. And it's all going to be because we're getting faster, better, and AI is just going to help us become so much better at what we're doing and in everything. But, it's just amazing.
Lifespans are going to get longer. I mean, the lifespan used to be 40 years old at the beginning of the 19th.
Don't tell AI. Don't tell AI that the lifespans are going to get older, and we're going to get Terminators. All right, they're going to be like, no, environment can't handle us living longer than we already do. Oh, you're already overpopulated. You either get off the planet, or we're going to get you off the planet.
We'll be living on Mars, some of us, but yeah.
So let me ask you. Yeah, go ahead.
Years. I think we could have a lifespan of 200. I think we could see a lifespan of 200 years for like our kids or our grandkids for sure.
No. Well, I hope if that's the case, I want to have a younger body at least. I don't know if I would want to, be 200 and like
You just preserve your head and everything else is robotic, right?
That's true. Yeah,
going on augmented. It's all augmented and being changed anyway. We'll have AI-powered plastic surgeons make all of us look like Greek gods.
Yeah.
But,
then you'd be a robotic body with a preserved head going on a space cruise and like checking out the different planets.
All you need is your brain, your consciousness, and the body. You can you're like the bionic man.
Well, I mean, you have that, but yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, we're talking about all these amazing things, and one of the things I wanted to point out to our listeners is, as Ethan was mentioning, his microphone is open, so he's having a conversation already with his AI. His camera is on, and he plugged into AI to do visual recognition and certain things. So these are things that we all got to take into consideration when you are taking that leap, and you are opening yourself up to, as Ethan says, he's taken that step where he's like, I don't mind my information being open because AI is open source. That information is on the web. So, but what is your opinion about that when it comes to security? And
so there's one thing here. I'm going to preface this because if you're paying for the premium version of ChatGPT, it supposedly says the information that you input is not going to be used to train the main GPT models. Okay, so your data is supposed to be secure and private and limited to your kind of version of ChatGPT, your ecosystem, your workspace. However, I really don't know the truth in that. But let's hear from Ethan what he thinks, because this is very interesting. The data's privacy and security component, it is a big, conversation point. Yeah.
About it.
Yeah. I mean, you can go into your settings and turn off the training the model if you're really concerned about the data. But what I tell people is this: I don't put too much sensitive information in there. For example, if you're the CEO of Coca-Cola, don't put the formula to Coke in ChatGPT, right?
We need to ask Coca-Cola. We need to ask ChatGPT if it can recreate the Coca-Cola form.
Yeah, probably can. But I'm very liberal with the amount of data that I share with ChatGPT, probably more so than a lot of people, because I know that the more I tell it, the more it will help me. But I also have a pretty optimistic outlook with technology. If you're paranoid, then you're probably not going to give it as much information. So it's like, what do we consider to be sensitive information? Like, that's really what you have to figure out. Like, what's too sensitive? Are your company financials sensitive information? Some people are an open book. Other people like, no, not sharing anything. But I've put my financials into ChatGPT and also into Claude, and you can get visualizations, and you can ask it to compare. What did we do better in 2022 compared to 2023? Why did our sales go down? And then it'll come up with an analysis based on your industry and looking at your numbers, and it'll tell a story, and it'll draw conclusions that maybe I didn't see, or maybe my accountant didn't see, or that it maybe would have taken her a whole day to figure out. So I believe in sharing. The more data you share, the better. But of course, if it's something that, if it were to leak, could damage you, like if a competitor got a hold of your trade secrets or something like that, then don't put that into the model. Even if you have that setting turned off with the data sharing, I still wouldn't put it in the model.
Well, yeah, I mean, think about it. All it takes is some malware or whatever on your computer, and it'll just, watch your keystrokes. You can record your screen, all that type of stuff. So it doesn't really matter. I mean, your social security number, most people's social security numbers are already floating around on the dark web, as is. Your credit card numbers are out there already. So it's like, I personally, all your passwords are already out there. Like, I don't really think there's really anything that you have that's truly private data information, unless it's stored only in here at this rate. However, I could see that if maybe you're doing something nefarious, you don't want things to be known. If you're trying to be off grid and away from people, or somebody's looking for you and you don't want to be found, sure. But for the most part, the everyday person, it shouldn't really be too problematic for you unless you're doing something bad. Which sounds weird. Is like then you got that whole argument, especially let's say the government overreach into like data, and I think I forget what agency it was, like NSA or something like that, would be like tracking everything that you're doing. But like people would say like, well, it shouldn't matter to you if you're not doing anything wrong. But at the same time, like you shouldn't be tracked, especially if you're not doing anything wrong, right? Like
think about the amount of information that we voluntarily share.
Yes, I agree.
Compared to just 50 years ago. If you grab somebody from 1970 and they saw how much we voluntarily just put out information to the public about ourselves, they would think we're absolutely insane. Like why is you can go on these people search things and you can find out their addresses, who they're related to, their age, their revenue, all kinds of stuff. It's kind of normal now. So I think that speaking of predictions, I think that we'll grow more and more comfortable with sharing. There'll be less and less privacy because it's a trade-off of privacy for convenience, right? The more information you put out there, the more convenient the world becomes for you. So if you want to be off, it's hard to be completely off the grid.
Yeah, it's tough.
I mean, using a credit card, you can't use a credit card.
I'll make a prediction right now, and and this is coming from no sources whatsoever. You don't have privacy. Hey, people, here's a secret. You are being watched. You are being listened to. It's just the nature of the game. The same way we use these tools, governments use these tools, other establishments use these tools. They have the funds for it. They have the bandwidth. They have the capacity to use it in ways that we can't even think of yet. So don't worry about it. Just go on with your normal lives and enjoy ChatGPT for what it is. And don't do anything nefarious. That's the whole thing, just, be you, but, don't use it nefariously. Nobody's going to come knock on your door, to
that point, another prediction that I have, so we have Google Satellite, right? Google Earth, Google Maps. You can look down on anything.
Yep.
The government has the ability to see real-time video. You know that, right? You can imagine if they already have the cameras up there, of course they have real-time videos. They can see when you walk out of your house, that eagle in the sky.
Absolutely.
I predict that after it'll only be a matter of time. I don't know if that's 50 years or 100 years, after we have enough disasters and terror attacks to where that information is publicly accessible and everyone will be able to see everyone else real time from satellite view in the sky. And Absolutely. We will want that. We will be, and it will bring an era of peace and a huge reduction in crime because you can literally see what everyone's doing. If everyone can see what everyone's doing, you have public checking yourself.
Yeah, it's kind of like then you start getting into situations like I know in China and different places. Like it's a lot more ruly because like you can literally like I've been to China and I visited. You can drop your backpack on the ground and you could have opened it up and showed money in the bag, right? And people will walk right past that backpack because they know if they steal or anything else, the cameras are watching. They're going to be found or whatever else. And in some sense, yes, that creates that security, but it's also kind of like, oh, this is a little creepy. I'm always being watched. This. I mean, so there's like both sides of things. I could not imagine someone just be able to just pull me up on a satellite, and be like, right here, and then. I mean, I guess there's a company that's trying to do what are they? They're trying to use mirrors to reflect sunlight on particular parts of the globe. So if you wanted to, you could pay the company to point the sunlight on your crops, for example, to have sunlight all year round if you wanted to on your crops, and it'll literally just have like this blinding light come down there. So it's like, I can imagine that's possible. Like it sure is. Technology is going to evolve, but it's like, do we really need that? Like, do we need it?
But something will happen. Just like air travel is very different now after 9/11, right? You remember?
Yeah.
I mean, you could walk with your whole family up to the gate and wave goodbye as they walked on the plane. But now things have changed, and we're okay with it. I'm fine with taking off things and going through this metal thing and having it scan me. But it's because of what happened. So that prediction is way out, and I think that it will be, unfortunately, after a few more human disasters, 9/11 scale things, where we will want that, and people will be okay with it. But yeah, right now it seems kind of far-fetched and ridiculous. But you're right. You go outside, you're on camera. Yeah, I mean, you remember the marathon bomber guy, the Boston Marathon bomber, and all those camera angles where they showed his whole path just using surveillance cameras from around the area. Mm-hmm. So it's already kind of happening.
Yeah. I mean, police use all the Ring doorbells today when they're doing like a major investigation. They'll go ask every door so they can maybe track the path of the shall we say the person that's being accused of doing something. Our phones are constantly giving off a signal. They know where you are. You got no cell signal. If the towers don't know where your phone is, you got no cell signal. So again,
you guys want to hear something creepier? Even creepier than just cameras? Have you got, everybody that has Alexa, Amazon, Rings, anything that's like Alexa enabled, have you heard of Amazon Sidewalk? So that actually uses all those devices and like from what I understood, is like specialty waves, and they can actually see the inside of your home and everything. Using basically just data and the way that these like special frequencies reflect back, so they can map out your entire house, everything, know who's inside, kind of like a sonar. And
so I was thinking of something totally different.
Yeah, no, they've got it, and it's everybody that's in the network. All these devices that are just now convenience and typical things in your homes. Better bet your butt government and other people know how to use that information to now map your home, market to you better, whatever else because of it.
Ring, I just saw Ring just released their home security drone. It's a drone hovers around in your house while you're out, and it tells the Ring system what's going on. Anybody comes in, it recognizes the pet, and it knows that that's the pet, not to call the police. But it's actually an actively monitoring.
Like a flying drone?
Flying drone that hovers around in your house, and it's monitoring the house.
I'm assuming it recharges periodically, or you have two of them, so one charges, the other one flies.
It's for when you're not home. It's surveillance. You go to work every day. You lock your house. Your Ring bell answers the door while you're at work. But what's going on inside your home? The only thing you have, normally people have some stationary cameras or some infrared lights, or but nothing's monitoring the house.
And we'll have Tesla robots to do that also. I mean, I'm optimistic about the future. I think that crime will go down. Even in my neighborhood, I've been in the same neighborhood for 20 years now. And when I first moved over here, we had some knuckleheads who were like kicking in doors and breaking in cars. Well, now everybody has a Ring camera. We don't have any issues anymore. So surveillance does make things more secure.
It's a deterrent. It's definitely a deterrent.
It's a deterrent. But it does also infringe on our privacy. So there's always that trade-off. Yeah, I can't wait till I have robots walking around the house helping me clean up. And
I've got dark robots already. I got two of those. Mopping. One of them mops. The other one vacuums.
Oh, like the little floor, the Roomba?
No, the Roomba. They have different brands now, not just Roomba. And they got them. They vacuum, they mop, they map the entire house. Like, it's crazy. You can put them on a schedule. I love it. But too bad they're not advanced enough to pick up all my kids' toys yet.
They do it. They released that at CES this year.
Did they? So now they can pick things up and move things away.
They have a Roomba where an arm comes out of it and moves socks and stuff out of the way.
That is awesome.
It's like $1,600. You can buy it now.
Oh my God, I need that.
I had a Roomba. My dog just didn't like it. My dog every time it went on, just went on the attack. Like, I don't like this thing. would flip it over, would push it away, would do all sorts. Eventually, I was like, you know what, this is more hassle.
What's crazy about the Roombas, though, when you look back, I had one when I was a kid. They've been around a long time. They just weren't as smart. I'm a little young. Okay. But I had one in one of our houses as a kid, and I think that was maybe when I was 10, 11 years old. Not to date myself. Yeah. No, I mean, it was random. And I still remember, like, oh yeah, I had a Roomba, but like I never thought about it at the time.
So check this out. The Roomba, I just looked it up. The first Roomba was released in September of 2002. So
2002?
Yes. Roomba is 23 years old.
That's why I said I was about 11 years old. I was 11 years old. I was to date it. I was in 92. I was born in 92. So
wow.
So so all those kids growing up, they won't have to do those chores like we were given when we were kids. Like you vacuum the floor, you go, Roomba will vacuum, and soon we're going to have robots washing windows and answering the door, signing your packages, unpacking your refrigerator, packing your refrigerator, walking the dog. So,
Well, this episode has gone way longer than we anticipated. But that's okay. YouTube can have it. It's going to be fun to have these predictions out there. So again, anybody's watching this 20, 30 years from now, if you can still see it on YouTube, don't mock us. Don't judge us.
It'll be fun to see what we got right and what we didn't.
All I can tell you is 30 years from now, I'll look good back then.
Yeah. I'm gonna remember this face. But anyway, but Ethan, it's been a pleasure having you on here. Now, I always like to end with what we call a shameless plug anytime we have a guest. So tell us, BNI style, for your main business. Let's talk about the AI side, because this is something I know that you guide other businesses through. And there's a topic for today. So tell us about what you do, so what value you provide, who you like to work with, and then how they can get in touch with you or interact with you, engage with you.
Yeah, definitely. So if you want to do a AI consultation, I book those with businesses. They'll hire me to come in and teach their whole team how to implement AI and walk them through the steps. And my goal with that is to build an AI employee, an assistant for everyone on your team, so that you can do more with less and basically double or triple your output without having to hire additional staff. I do those customized I have clients who are marketing agencies. I have clients who are coaching companies, all kinds of sectors, cleaning companies, all kinds of things. If you want to take it to the next step, then I actually build out custom automations and agents so that AI employee can actually do things on your behalf without needing human intervention. You can even make it fully automated. So yeah, that's what I do. You can look it up at simplesuccess.ai. Or if you're a do-it-yourself type person, I just love giving people the information. So grab the book, ChatGPT to Double Your Business in 90 Days. You're going to learn a ton from that for just $20-$30. And always reach out to me. I love speaking. I speak on stages around the world. I love teaching. So if you have an event coming up where you'd like to learn some AI and automation practices from marketing or leadership, then I'm your man. Reach out to me at ethanking.com.
All right. And for our listeners who have gotten this far, Ethan, I know we talk off screen. One of the things I believe you're also a GHL user, right? Go High Level?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So one of the things that we are offering to all of our listeners, doesn't matter who you are, if you see this video on Instagram, feel free to check out our profile, go into our link tree, And we have a link for anybody that wants to start getting into some of this AI, more advanced AI stuff in automation. We're giving away 6-month trials to Go High Level for free for anybody that wants it. So make sure, or the alternative, if you're on Instagram, you're seeing this, you can type into the comments, just type in CRM into the comments and you'll get a link sent to you in your DMs. But these are the stepping stones for the things that I know Ethan does, and getting something more automated for your business, super important. And ChatGPT, all these different tools, they're all beautiful, but until you start being able to automate them to really get the more value out of it by having someone like Ethan come in, the CRM is a great tool for doing that because Go High Level is very AI friendly. Okay, so anyways, and that's just a little gift to our listeners. So anybody that's listening, hopefully you can take advantage of that offer. And then from there, that's really it. Ethan, we really appreciate you coming in. If anybody needs help getting in touch with Ethan, with help with this marketing automation, with AI automation and things like that, be sure to reach out to Ethan. If you need help getting in touch with him, we'll also be more than happy to connect you. Just reach out to us and we'll help you as well. And thanks for listening, and thanks for tuning in for another episode of the Sale and Scale Marketing Podcast. And Ethan, just stick around after we stop recording and we'll wrap up. Anyways, thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ethan.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks.
Thanks for watching. If this has helped you stay ahead of the current, follow us for more insights and share this with someone who you think would find this valuable. Keep making waves.